We'll now continue with the theme of Ananda Seva. I would like to invite Mrs. Pia Singh and Jayeeta Chakraborty up on stage. And we will conclude this by launching the Ananda Seva chapter of Pune and Yogananda Trust. Mrs. Pia Singh is a chairperson of the DLF Foundation, is the trustee of Ananda Sangha India, and of the Yogananda Trust, which has been serving over 3,000 widows in Vrindavan. It is one of the largest widow welfare works in Asia. Jayeeta Chakraborty serves as the director of the Yogananda Trust and has been offering a stellar service in taking care of our widow mothers with so much love and joy. Please welcome Pia and Jayeeta. I would invite Pia to share with us. We will now hear the practical application of Ananda Seva. They have already launched it, it is operational in Vrindavan. And we will hear from Pia and Jayeeta. Maybe Pia might share with us a story about how she was inspired to start this. It's a beautiful story. And Jayeeta will share with us how they are actually practically applying these principles at Vrindavan.
Namaskar. Such a joy to be here.
Sorry, Pia, one more thing. So we are continuing this here. So the healing class upstairs for now is cancelled. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's such an honor to be here and to be able to share with you. Taking forward from what Dhyanaji was saying, the point is that if you're not really sharing of yourself and there can be so many different ways of sharing, you're not really serving. So me being here, sharing with you is really an extension of that principle. Maybe I should just, I'm also going to include the story which Blazy spoke about, how the trust started and my first experiences, which actually I wasn't planning to, but since you reminded me, maybe I should. First, I'd just like to begin by saying that the theme of service is such an integral part of not just our path, but how to live in this world and proceed towards freeing ourselves and becoming better human beings, if you are atheist, or finding God if you're not. Paramahansa Yogananda said the path is service and meditation. We have been hearing about all the various aspects about it from people who've lived it for so many years and provided deep inspiration for us how to be able to do it. Service at the deepest level is really about purifying ourselves and relinquishing our ego. We can either affirm our ego as we live in every activity we do, or we can get rid of the ego and relinquish the ego. And truly, the only way to do it is through service. The story Jayaji narrated about Master and the nun at Mount Washington really shows what an attitude of service means and how it's applied to everything we do. And service is work, not the other way around. And everything we do should be an act of service. The Gita says this really beautifully. It says that the Lord accepts any offering, however small it may be, a leaf, a flower, if it is made to him with devotion. And I think that sums up the spirit of service better than anything else. I'd also like to share that I think the deepest principles of service as taught by Paramahansa Yogananda and as taught by any other spiritual master in this world or who has ever been in this world is really, what does service mean? Service at the deepest level means to see the object of your service as God, to see and serve God in another person. Now, this can be the widows at Vrindavan, this could be your co-workers, this could be your child, this could be your husband. It doesn't matter, it could be anyone who you are in contact with. But the spirit of service is really to serve God in another person. It is also to offer all your intentions to God. It is also to offer all the fruits of your service to God. And that is what you do. Then it comes to how do you do. That again we've been hearing about this morning in such a wonderful way. what we can do is be full of willingness, joy, energy, which then generates magnetism. God needs instruments who are willing to allow him to work through. So with our own enthusiasm, our willingness, energy and magnetism, we can attune ourselves to God. And again, the deepest level of service is to see him as the doer. The Gita talks extensively about it. To attune ourselves to God, to see him as the doer, to serve God and other people, to do our duty by serving God and other people, and therein grow is actually the deepest path. Life affords us an opportunity to do this in every second, in every way, in every look, smile. We've heard about the benefits of a smile, how we speak, in every glance. So I think there is nothing that we do in this world which doesn't call for an attitude of service. Sometimes what makes it easier to learn is when we get into a situation where we are serving in a way that perhaps we may have been conditioned to think from birth. Therein comes the widows of Vrindavan. And I'm going to keep this story short, but how it really started was, one day I was driving in my car in Delhi, and my children were in the car with me. I think we were coming back from the hospital, and I saw this lady and her family on the side of the road, and this old lady actually, and they were there, and they had some utensils with them. Clearly they were, abandoned people who were living on the side of the road. And something just made me stop my car, and I stopped, and I went and spoke to them. And this old lady said yes, they'd lost everything, and they were poor people. They were now living on the road, and I then offered to them that I will find them a place to stay, which I did. I put them there, paid 1 month's rent, and I think in that moment, perhaps the touch, and I did it really with no selfish motive other than a feeling of seeing something in that person and just wanting to serve really. Then at a later point, Dhyanaji and I got together, and collectively the inspiration came to both of us to start a work in Vrindavan which would serve the widows. That then took its own momentum. 1 month later, time came to pay the rent for those people actually. I'd put them in a room and, bought them some things, and rent had to be paid on a monthly basis. So when the time came to pay their rent, the person went there actually to pay the rent, and he found they had vanished. Now, I just think back, and I think it was master, because how is it humanly possible and explained that people who were in that dire circumstance where everything was being taken care of would just vanish without a trace? And therein began the journey of Vrindavan. I also want to share one more story about Vrindavan, which I think really illustrates the truest essence of service, before I hand it over to Jayeeta, who has got some really interesting and experiential things planned for all of you. So you really get to see and experience what service is, not just hear it from all of us. Just about the time that the work began, actually my first trip to Vrindavan, I went to Ramakrishna Mission actually, who had been doing widow welfare work for many years. And what they used to do, and I mean they still do, they give monthly ration to some of the most destitute and the oldest widows. So I went there. It was a freezing December. I remember it was the 15th of December, and they had all these old ladies, like in their 70s and 80s, had come to the Ramakrishna Mission to collect their monthly ration. I went there. I was part of this ration distribution, and I was just overcome with seeing what their circumstances were. And I was with some other devotees of Ananda, and we went to the market. We brought them shawls and blankets, and we came back. And then along with the ration, we gave them these shawls and blankets. And then I spoke to one of the ladies who took one of the shawls and blankets. And if you had seen what she looked like, I mean, she looked like what you see in the photos and the movies. She was really old. She could barely walk. She had no warm clothes. She looked really ill, and I just asked her where she was from, and she told me, and I gave her the blanket, and then she tells me, "Thank you, but no thank you. You are here. Very nice of you to give me this blanket, but you're doing this for yourself. You are doing this so you will gain some good karma by helping me. I clearly have done something in my past lives, and I've gained some bad karma, and I'm here and I have to deal with this life. So it's very nice of you to do this for me, but I'm not going to thank you because you're doing this for yourself." And I think it was a transformative moment for me, and it just shows you that truly, the way we are conditioned to think, the way we are all brought up to think, the way there are divides in society, which is what leads to problems like what the world is facing today, Ukraine, so many other things the world has always faced, is because we think there are superficial differences make differences between people. Master famously once said that, if you black, white, if you just remove the skin, everyone is red underneath. And I think in Vrindavan it really illustrates that principle, that at some level, it's God is serving God. Dhyanaji spoke about it, but really that's the work that's being done, and to see the empowerment of the widows there who were already empowered, but the exchange of joy that goes between the staff, the devotees who come to serve, and the widow mothers, and as Dhyanaji elucidated, an equal and fair exchange is really what living this life through spiritual principles is about. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jayeeta, who is going to take you on an amazingly experiential journey right now. So thank you.
So much for being short. Namaste everybody, my name is Jayeeta and I serve in Vrindavan. Dhyanaji, Jayaji, Pia, before that Jyotishji, Deviji, everybody have spoken of upliftment today. And today we are talking about seva and how to uplift our consciousness as well as the consciousness of those whom we are serving. So, Circle of Love has been now spoken about, which is a 15-minute phone call once a week to the mothers of Vrindavan. So the volunteer calls only once a week for a 15-minute call. And that is the experiential part that we wanted to talk about. However, there are some attitudes that we need to keep in mind when we are serving. And the attitude which we picked up today is that the attitude is more important than what we do. So before we are embarking on a journey of seva, of a journey of service, I would invite all of you just to close your eyes for a moment. Please sit up straight and close your eyes for a moment. Focus at the point between your eyebrows and think of the senior most member in your family. Could be of any age, could be of any health, could be of any nature. It does not matter. The senior most member. And watch how the face starts smiling at you. Watch how a beautiful light emanates from the eyes. Feel the love, the joy that is trying to reach out to you. And when you serve in any way, whether it is going to be speaking to that person, whether it is going to be sitting with that person, reading to that person, you will only speak, read, talk to that highest nature in that person. While keeping your eyes closed, we will do an affirmation and a prayer which relates to this attitude that we are focusing on right now. We will affirm, I will read out, you repeat after me, first loudly, then softly, then in a whisper, and then mentally. So first I will read out and you follow loudly. The whole world is my home.
The whole world is my home.
And the human race my family.
And the human race my family.
With God's kindness,
With God's kindness,
I embrace all men.
I embrace all men.
The whole world is my home.
The whole world is my home.
And the human race my family.
And the human race my family.
With God's kindness,
With God's kindness,
I embrace all men.
I embrace all men.
Softly, the whole world is my home. The human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. Now in a whisper, the whole world is my home. And the human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. Now focus at the point between your eyebrows and look at that smiling face full of joy and mentally affirm with me, only mentally, the whole world is my home and the human race my family. With God's kindness, I embrace all men. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, I will give thanks for your wonderful gift of light and love. I will be sincere in thought, word, and deed. I will seek personal happiness through making others happy. I will merge my little self into the self of all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You may open your eyes now. So today, as Pia said, we were going to make calls. However, I think those phone calls would be better done outdoors because of network issues. So we have a counter of the Paramahansa Yogananda Public Charitable Trust outside, and there are mothers waiting to talk to you, okay? So we have already set up these phone calls of Circle of Love that we were talking about, wherein you can interact with the mothers in Vrindavan, all right? So there is Radha Ma, and there's Aarti Ma, and there is Bhakti Ma, and many of the mothers who are waiting for your phone calls. So once we are done over here with the various talks, I will invite you outside. And there is my colleague Divisha, myself, there is Anirudh outside, there is Priya outside. So we all will help facilitate these phone calls. In the meantime, there is just one little thing I wanted to tell you all with regards to the seva that is happening in Vrindavan. The Yogananda Trust is looking after 3,100 elderly abandoned widows. that is called the Matri Seva program. This is the widow welfare program. But apart from that, the Yogananda Trust also on an annual basis looks after lakhs and lakhs of destitute people through free medical care. That is called the Arogya Vardhan program. So we have two very, very strong seva programs going on, where it is not just providing the facility. We are there as, their family members. We are there as their children. We look after them, we take care of them, we don't leave their hands. We are there every step of the way. That is how all the staff at the Yogananda Trust is serving, and I invite all of you to come there and serve, and as well as see what the work is all about. Thank you so much. Oh yes, we have a very robust Pashu Seva program that is going on. It started from the COVID times, and that time, because of the lockdown, people were not allowed to go out and feed, and nobody was coming to Vrindavan. So a lot of these animals, they were just dying out of starvation. And many people who have gone to Vrindavan or who know about Vrindavan know that there are hordes and hordes of monkeys over there. And the poor monkeys, they need food. They never had food. So Yogananda Trust, in collaboration with the local administration and with Akshay Patra, went and started providing lunch as well as dinner to all these animals. When the lockdown finished, yeah, so what happened was, that was during the lockdown. Lockdown finished, then I asked the staff, do you all want to stop now? Because now people have started coming, people have started feeding the animals. So they said, no, we just feel so grateful that they come to us. They never snatch anything from us. So I would see pictures of these. Usually, your specs are not safe, your cap is not safe, your bag is not safe, nothing is safe from the monkeys. Okay, you literally have to monkey-proof yourself before you go there, right? But over here, they would all wait for the e-rickshaw to come or the ambulance to come. They know the sound of the wheels. If the e-rickshaw is by any chance, that's not the time to give food, it's just passing by. They'll come out and they'll go, oh, oh, like that, okay? That's the sound that the monkeys make, all right? And the rickshaw driver would turn around and say, abhi nahi. Baad mein aunga. And the monkeys, as though they understand, they'll look for a moment and then they'll turn around and go back. And when the e-rickshaw comes back, and then everybody comes one by one, they'll come, they'll take the food, and then they'll go back. Next person comes, takes the food, and goes back in a queue. And I saw one amazing picture. I wish I had it on my phone right now to show you, but I don't right now. So the food that day was hot because it was khichdi, okay? And Lokesh, who was the server that day, he went with this big drum and he was serving. And each monkey with their child was sitting in front of their plate and waiting for the food to get cooler so that they could eat. So yes, Pashu Seva is a very, very gratifying seva that is there. And we just feel so loved by them. I mean, never will they snatch from any of the servers. So I know, I think they also feel that we are family, at some way. Thank you so much.
I will give the testimony. I have pictures of the monkeys behaving, and if you connect with me, I'll share it later with you. It's in my phone. I had gone there during the pandemic, and I was with the Pashu Seva team. And at a particular junction, there were about 20-25 monkeys that came, and for a moment I thought this is going to go out of hand because all the food was behind me. I was between the food and the monkeys. And they actually waited, so much so that when I was distributing on one side, and I thought somebody's actually pulling my kurta on the other side, and I looked down, and there was this monkey. And he was like, I've been waiting and I'm asking you, can you, and there's a picture somebody captured of that, and I'm giving it to him, and he sweetly then scampered off. So what a testimony, Yogananda ji used to say, if you change consciousness, as Jyotish and Devi ji, everybody has been suggesting, Master said, from consciousness, thoughts come, your energy flows, your actions then express that consciousness. That story of the tigers, why they were able to be so domesticated in one presence, I want to share a little bit about Ananda Seva. I'm very happy we're launching it in Pune today. And I want to pick it up from one of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, also something Jyotish ji has mentioned in the Ananda Seva principles, that we should ultimately, above all, see God as the doer. And I think this is one of those highest teachings that when you read it, you say, okay, I am feeding, let's say, the monkeys, but I'm doing it. Or I have to do my job, I have to do meditation, let us say. Master used to say, you won't be able to go very deep in meditation till you give up this thought that I am meditating or this is for myself. He says that's a barrier also. And I want to share a story where I had a little glimpse of that many years ago. And this was a very important time in my life. I'm from the medical background. After MBBS, most doctors look for a post-graduation. And for me, it was a subject of preventive medicine or the newly launched, the first pilot project of the country called rural surgery. So I went to this hospital in Delhi. Only 5 hospitals had been chosen in India. And I said, I'd like to join it. And they said, that's very nice, but you're a month late. We have 1 seat vacant, but you're late. We can't change the rules. Please come next year. I said, I'm happy to work without wages. I'm happy to be in the what we call the odd batch. I don't mind, doing this few more months, extra months. I said, please don't waste the seat, and I want to learn. They said, no, rules are rules. And 3 times from one place, 3 times from the director's office, I was totally asked to leave finally. They said, come on, you should understand, these are rules. And when I had just given up hope, I said, okay, I'll come next year. I was having a meal with the other doctor. There were 2 seats, and he said, it's okay, Aditya, just be around, come next year. I said, yeah, what else is the option now? And just at that time, I saw a wonderful, majestic, beautiful soul walk into the room. It was a dining hall. And I told my friend, I said, who is this man? He said, I'll tell you who he is, but you have to promise me you won't take your troubles to him. I said, I promise. He said, he is the senior most surgeon we have over here. He was the senior of the director of the hospital. Well, I got up. I broke my promise. I went up to this very remarkable, charming man, and I said, and he was, I would later know, one of the leading professors of the country, and I went up to him, and he just had such an aura, he was so approachable. I said, sir, I'm so-and-so, there is a seat in your department, I would like to learn, I want to serve, could I please get that? And he said, it's the weekend now, why don't you come on Monday and let me interview you? I said, okay. He said, come at 9 a.m. So I was getting ready, and I would stay in South Delhi at that time. The hospital was in North Delhi, so I was trying to go before time, and everything was fine, except, and actually let me go back, the previous night I was reading Paramahansa Yogananda ji's Bhagavad Gita, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and I read a line before sleeping, and it said, "O Arjuna," which Arjuna, our master said, symbolizes you and me, the devotee. "O Arjuna, as long as you think you can run your life, I will observe. But the day you invite me, I will come in and take complete charge of your life." And I was, as you can see at that point of my life, I said, Master, Guruji, I want you to take complete charge of my life. Whatever you will, may that happen. And saying, but I prayed, I said, I don't know how to give you the charge. I want to, please take the charge. And so next morning when I was going for my interview, very early in the morning, at the first metro station, nobody was there. Actually, it turned out to be Ram Navami, and the last day of Ram Navami, and I heard a voice come from a little wall, from behind the wall, "Is there somebody?" And it was a very deep call for help. And I thought, who is there? And I looked behind the wall. There was a blind beggar with rashes all over his body. His mouth was very thirsty, dry. Immediately I lifted him. I said, "What happened?" And here's some water, and what can I do for you? He said, "Oh, bete, just help me meet the president, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I have come from Kanpur to meet the president of India." I said, "Sir, how? It's very hard to meet the president of India. I have not met him." I said, "How? I don't think we can meet him." He said, "No, we can." And he pulled out a photograph from his pocket and he said, "See, he met me in my hometown." And Mr. Kalam was giving him a shawl. And he said, he told me, "If you have any trouble, let me know." And he said, I said, "What's the trouble?" He said, I don't have money. I need 4,500 rupees and I want to go and meet him." That was going to be my first job. I didn't have that much money, honestly. So in that moment, I had to choose between two things. And by God's grace, this verse came back in my mind. As long as you think you can run your life, I will observe. But if you invite me, I will take complete charge. And I smiled. I said, "Lord Krishna, you're taking my test. I'm going with this blind man. You take care of my interview." And I went with him. And we were near North and South Block. That was the metro station. And it turned out it was Ram Navami. Offices were closed. Mr. Kalam was not in office. His secretary was not there. Then we went to the public grievance cell. That was closed. Then I went to a philanthropist friend I knew. He was in London. Then I took the gentleman to the National Association of Blind. Now we were in South Delhi by this time. They said, "We can help if he stays in Delhi." Long story short, it was evening time. And I looked at my friend. I said, he said, "I have to go back home." And I said, "Let me drop you to the station." I gave him some little money I have. I said, "Let's stay in touch and let's see what we can do." And I put him back at the train, and I thought it's evening time. I should at least go and apologize for my complete absence. And when I went back, for a moment I was thinking, what am I going to say? I'm 7.5 hours late. With somebody who was the NDTV surgeon of the year many times. And I just said, what am I going to say? And I saw the professor come, and so I didn't have time to think, and I got up. And he came. I said, "Good evening, sir." He said, "Good evening." I said, "Sir, I'm Dr. Aditya, and I'm so, you had asked me to come this morning for the interview." Before I could say anything, he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, bete. I forgot all about your interview. I was on the other side of town doing a long surgery, and I just came to the hospital." And I said, it's okay. Then I told sir the story later. I said, "It's okay." He said, "My phone battery has died." And he said, "Can I borrow your phone?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Here's my cabin, let's go inside." He offered me tea, and he looked down his directory, and he called the two people who had told me nothing can be done, the director of the hospital, the director who oversees this course across India. And he called them, and this is what he said. He said, "I have just interviewed this young man for the one seat we have, and I think he's the right person for this seat. Can I ask him to join?" And my ears were plugged. And I heard both of them say, "Whatever you think, sir." And he asked me, he gave my phone. He said, "Why don't you join tomorrow?" I touched his feet. I said, "Sir, what about my joining letter?" He said, "Don't worry about it." And when I came out of that cabin, I was looking around. I took my metro back to my room in South Delhi, and I looked around at people, at the sky, at the grounds, and I said, God is there. I said, Shri Krishna is there, gurus are there. We have to give them the charge of our life, that much, the egoic part, because while we have the ego, we have to act, and as Swamiji used to say, act in the highest way. Like one of our acharyas was saying, keep expanding that. And there comes a point where you realize, I didn't do anything. God did it. God made it happen. Or in the beginning, we realized God does the major part. And so, as we are launching, as Jayaji was saying, unless we feel that overcoming of our fears, limitation, all of those things, the doubts we may have on God and gurus, will they come, will they not, what do I do, what do they do? It's not an intellectual process. We have to keep doing our part, and then at the right time they step in. So as we launch Ananda Seva, I invite you, whether you join it through Ananda take those principles, they are available at the stall. They are deep, as I said. I took only one of the many Jyotishji has elaborated, and see how you can apply it in small ways and more and more. And as we pray, as I prayed that night, I said, God, I don't know how to give you the charge, but I want to. And then he arranges the circumstances. I'm of firm belief. He arranges the circumstances and he says, okay, do your part, and then I'm walking next to you. I will do my part. So I'd like to now invite Xenia over here. I hope she's in the auditorium. Maybe she's serving in one of the stalls. So Xenia was chosen to lead Ananda Seva in Pune, and she's doing what she does. She's serving outside in the stall. But through Ananda Seva, what we'll be doing in just a couple minutes, we will be taking these principles which the Paramhans Yogananda Public Charitable Trust is demonstrating, applying every day in Vrindavan. We will try to now apply them in our service over here. Whether it's in our meditation, whether it is in cleaning, whether it is making prasad, cooking, doing accounting work. I often tell people we have the best accountants. They're always smiling. The bank account doesn't reflect that. So somebody said to me, yeah, you hardly give them any work. But I said, no, it works just like Jayeeta was saying, when you have that joy, when you have that quality about you, there's no difference between accounting and any other work. Anand Mahima once said something many saints have said. She said, only the very wise know there is no difference between seva and sadhana. She said they are all approaches. It's like a toolkit. At different times, we take different approaches so that we all can reach the summit of God, summit of joy. So I invite you to go to the Ananda Seva stall outside. I invite you to go to the Paramhans Yogananda stall and see how these high teachings can be brought into every aspect of our life. I think that is what we are here to share. Thank you.
And I was saying, can it be any other way? God has taken charge of this program. We are no longer in charge of it, so I hope you will excuse us in erring on the side of God, and if we have disappointed you in your expectations about timeliness. So our next class, we're going to keep continuing the classes, but do take the time out to check out the stalls. Please especially stop by the Yogananda Trust stall and take a look at the services and how each one of us can help further the light in this world. Very beautiful talks. Thank you once again to each one who has spoken this far. Our next class here is The Inner Astrology of the Spine by Nayaswami Shankara and Amit Purohit. And on the first floor, classroom 4, we have Tyagis, Daya, and Keshava with Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. So please feel free to choose your room and enjoy the inspiration, enjoy the fun, have a wonderful time. I will now request Harsh Sharma to set the stage in this room for the next class. Thank you.